Welcome to the Back Nine Six Pack with Mitch and Justin. Let's roll.
Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Back Nine Six Pack. My name is Mitch, joined as always by my esteemed colleague Justin. Before we do anything,
My favorite part.
Let's do it. Miller Lights are really banging in here.
Hey, they've stepped up their game, I think, since the whole Bud Light debacle. We're like, we're just going to pack a punch now. We're just going to bury them while we have a chance.
Oh, man. I just had to get that out of the way because I don't even hardly know where to start because I started you know what, I do know where to start. I started last week's podcast when we were talking about the PGA Championship, talking about how it didn't feel like a major week to me.
Holy crap. Does it ever after that?
My God, I truly, it's hard in recent memory to remember one that just, had so much shit going on, for the entire weekend.
I will tell you this. I was never bored.
No.
And even when Brooks started to kind of pull away, it felt like there was still not, a boring moment. And then we'll kind of get into the whole, the block party thing.
No, we're going there right now.
Okay.
That's what.
All right.
Look, we know
All
Brooks
right.
won, but we would be remiss not to start with Michael Block.
I mean, I've heard this, and I'm not going to take credit for this. I heard it on a couple different places and videos, and obviously everybody's talking about it. But they're like, this dude's like the real life tin cup.
Yeah,
he is the real life tin cup.
Seriously.
Other than the not taking a 12 on the last hole, he is the real life tin cup.
I mean, it was truly absurd. So I saw a stat today. Just talk about the result to begin with. So tied for 15th, gets that up and down on the last hole to qualify for next year's tournament. He moved from 3,580th in the world to number 577.
Yeah.
And is just getting sponsors exemptions out the ass now.
No, I'm not. Okay, real quick. Not a big fan of the world golf rankings. I think they're just unbelievably dumb.
Yeah, it's just an absurd
that proves my point right there, by the way. You jump 3,003 spots or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why they're dumb, but awesome at the same time.
I think it was just a good metric to kind of put it in perspective of what we saw because I have no frame of reference for this. I wrote it down here. Okay, I'm sure everybody knows this. Just think about the people he beat. Number one, he came 15th in the field of 150 something. He beat Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa, Jordan Spieth, John Rahm, Justin Thomas by 11
body bag
shots.
Justin Thomas and body bag my boy.
Your boy Tony Finau by 14 shots.
Woof.
So you were playing golf yesterday when this was going down.
But I was kind of watching on my phone, and I was trying to kind of keep an eye on it,
So I'm standing there kind of doing stuff around the house as it's on, and it goes to commercial. And I'm standing in my kitchen, and I hear Nance come back, and this, a moment ago. I'm like,
instantly you're like,
no way. I'm like, there's no way. Because
I would have just thought he stuffed it again because he stuffed it on that hole a couple different times.
I knew they were on 15 because I was tracking Rory because reasons. And I just was like, he's making an ace. I didn't. What pill did I don't know. What pill did I take?
But here's the thing. It was just because of how magical his week was. You're like, nothing bad is going to happen to this
This
guy.
is a simulation. It has to be. I cannot believe what we just witnessed, truly.
But I will tell you, this proves the point also that when I tell people that maybe haven't been watching professional golf for a while or maybe don't know a lot about your Korn Ferry guys and your minor league golf guys that play down in Florida, your Carolina golf tour guys, there is such a thin line between the 5,000th ranked golfer in the world and the number one golfer in the world. And, and they can intertwine, and that guy can beat number one any day, anytime, any course. Period. And that's what I just don't there's no other sport like that. Because when LeBron's on a basketball court in his prime, you knew that no one could guard him. When Steph Curry, and he's still kind of in his prime, no one can guard him, right? When Peyton Manning and Tom Brady were on, you're like, there's no one stopping them. They are the best player on the field. That is not how golf works. You can be the best player and still lose to, Michael Block, PGA professional.
I mean, this wouldn't even happen in something like tennis. Like, you're not having like some health club and fitness pro go to
and
the
it doesn't
US
happen
Open.
in boxing. It doesn't happen in any other sport other than golf, really. I mean, that's why it's so incredible.
For him to do it like on that kind of major championship setup too, like this wasn't like
and Oak Hill ate some people's lunches.
That's what I'm saying. This wasn't, no offense to anybody, this wasn't like an Aaron Hills where, some guys took it deeper. Whistling Straits when, Jason Day won, a former PGA, it's like 25 under or whatever.
Yep.
This was like, I think there was 9 guys under par.
Yeah.
And he was 1 over for 4 days.
And 370s in a row. I mean, that is, he was like, he was one shot away from being, and I think, you've got some other stats down here that there was only one guy that was at 70 or better every round. He was, he was pretty close to being the second guy out of all the field, the whole field.
Yeah. Now, look, everything about it was amazing, and it's going to be awesome to follow. I will say, sustainability-wise, him going to some of these other tour events and stuff, truly, if you look at the stats, he putted his ass off. He was like 6th in strokes gained putting for the week, outside the top 50 in like every other category.
Yeah, and then you get it to a course where it's like, okay, now you've got to make, in a week you've got to make 20 birdies, right, or 15 birdies just to make the cut. I mean, some of these cuts that Colonial, I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head what the cuts have been, but I'm going to guarantee they were probably pretty close to under par, or they were under par. Yeah. And for him to do that, I'm going to let him prove me wrong. Like he very well may prove me wrong and he's playing this week. He's at the Colonial, and then he's going to be at the RBC. So we're going to find out. But man, what an incredible story! And the coolest thing is, at least for me, I know a lot of PGA professionals, and I know a lot of PGA professional club pros that are phenomenal players, and I've met a ton just playing in Southern Ohio PGA events. Like, you don't understand like the level of golf some of these guys play, but they never get that opportunity, or maybe they have a job at a club that just doesn't allow it. Mm-hmm. So kudos to Michael Block's club. And again, this is not a diss on other clubs, but kudos to his club and his boss and whoever, general manager or what, owner of the course, for letting this dude just like chase his dreams. Like that was the one thing that kind of, when he was kind of talking about it, and then if you saw the phone call, when he got the exemption into next week, he was like, "Well, my boss is standing right here. Like, let me talk to him." And his boss was like, he didn't even hesitate, right? He's like, "Dude, no, we're going to Dallas." And he's like, "I'm coming with you." Like, it was pretty cool. And so kudos to his club for letting this dude chase his dreams. And he's older too. He's not exactly young. So
he's 46.
Yeah. So
that's what makes it crazier.
I know. Which just letting
Jack Nicklaus won the Masters at 46.
But kudos to his club, because that's freaking awesome to let this dude go out and chase his dreams at 46 years old. So
and
that was my little. I'll get off my high horse now, but that was my little, just knowing club professionals and stuff my entire life. I thought that was really cool.
And I'll correct myself real quick. So he was 6th in strokes gained putting, 58th around the green, 26th in approach, 42nd off the tee, and that was equaled 35th tee to green. So not bad, but I'm just.
Honestly, and Colonial probably sets up decent for him if that was going to be a tournament.
Not a 7,400 yards par 70.
And I think he even said that when he got the exemption. He was like, "I heard Colonial sets up for pretty good for an old golf pro." So, it's just, there's so much more we could say about it, but it's just, and then him just playing with Rory, and then it's like, he's like he's playing with Justin Rose on Saturday, and they. Also, kudos to Rose and Rory. They took it in stride.
Oh, yeah.
And they, brought this, they kind of, open arms, took this on. I mean, I think I saw Rose on Saturday. He birdied 14. And, Rose is just like, "Dude, this is, fucking awesome." He's, fist bumps him. And I'm like, when have you ever seen that in another tournament where, if Rory was to make a putt, Justin Rose is like, "Oh, yeah, Rory, give me some." Never. But they were they knew what was happening, and they knew it was a good story, and they took it in stride. And I was I thought that was pretty cool, especially for someone as the caliber as Rory. He took it really, really well yesterday and, kind of played into it. And I thought that was also really, really a very small detail of this awesome story, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it was no doubt awesome. before we move on, again, we're going to keep bearing the lead here. I thought Oak Hill was sweet.
Yeah, I told you it's a top 10 major venue in the entire country, maybe even in the entire world. Like, it is that good. It is such a great place to have a major.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not usually not a big fan of like long, just hack it out rough, but like it just seemed to challenge these guys like in every way that you would want them to be challenged.
Yep, and then I thought even when it was firm on Thursday and Friday, when guys hit good shots, they got rewarded.
Yeah.
When they hit bad shots, they got penalized. That's exactly how a golf course should be, and honestly, that's how most down the Ross courses are. Right? Mm-hmm. It rewards shot making, and then it penalizes some mistakes. And I thought we got all of it, and I think we talked a little bit about this for Quail Hollow, where I was like, the course was not set up. It doesn't set up for drama, right?
Yeah.
There's no drama holes. Like, I thought 6 drama hole. Like, that hole it was the hardest hole in PGA history. That how it played out this week.
Yeah.
And then, the short par 4, 14, like, thought that was an awesome hole. It's like, do you bomb it up there? Do you lay back? Do you take your chances in the bunker? And so many drama holes, and then 16, 17, 18 are just awesome finishing holes. But that's why you set up a course where it's like that causes drama, and that's where Quail Hollow just kind of misses the mark. But yeah, Oak Hill is phenomenal.
And for the way that it held up with the rain they got on Saturday, and it was still playable, and then I think the biggest thing for me was like the progression throughout the week, right? Like, it was difficult Thursday, Friday, which I think allowed the tournament to kind of weed out any pretenders.
Yep.
And then Saturday and Sunday was a little more scoreable, especially Sunday, to let chasers come back if there was, they had a chance. Mm-hmm. And I just think that made for, just such a great watch and great
Yeah, because
drama.
like, if you think about it, if Brooks shoots even on Sunday, he's not winning that tournament.
No. You had 5 guys shoot 65.
Not winning that tournament. So that was pretty cool. I mean, he went out and won it, unlike what he did at Augusta. But shout out to the superintendents for getting that court. Like, one, we talked about it. The weather's not been great up here. That's a little further north. That course looked, for early, mid-May, that course looked absolutely phenomenal. And then to throw in the weather wrench, dude, they killed it, man. I think they really did, and I think the PGA deserves a lot of credit for the setup and getting that place, and along with the superintendents, to what it was. So,
yeah, for a long time, the PGA felt like it didn't really have an identity. It was like kind of caught between release patterns.
Yeah, because the U.S. Open's hardest tournament in the world, right? Open has their kind of thing. Augusta's Augusta, and it was just, you felt like the PGA was just there, right?
But now it seems like they found the sweet spot of being like a stern test, but not like not losing the course like the US Open. We're going to see guys get bludgeoned
to death and like making bogeys, and 5 over is going to win the tournament. Yeah.
That's awesome that way.
Yep.
So Brooks, I think he went, I forget what he shot on Thursday, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 66, 66, 67, slammed the door shut. Fifth major championship. Just to go down the stats here of the legacy stuff. He's 1 of 20 to reach 5, and some notables that he leaves behind would include Rory McIlroy and Ernie Els are at 4. He's now tied with Seve and Byron Nelson, 1 back of Phil, Nick Faldo, and Lee Trevino.
Incredible. And the fact that he left Rory behind. I mean, that just shows you, like, the drought that Rory's been on.
Yeah.
And 2, how quickly a guy can just come up and just be like, all right, I'm going to have, and win more than you. And that's those names. It's just like, when you say all those names, I think a lot of feelings come up for everybody amongst all those names, right? Like, we all know who they are. And not that we don't know who Brooks is. Everybody knows who Brooks is. But it's like, you just don't put that name into that category. You don't put Brooks into those names, typically.
You do
now.
You
have to. You just have to. Like, whether, and again, I'm indifferent about Brooks. I think he's an incredible talent. I've been open about saying that he kind of came off as a crybaby on the Netflix special. But I will say, and I think our guys at Knowing Up said this, right? They were like, I think they said it during one of the live broadcasts, or maybe it was on Twitter, but they were like, the fact that that dude was grinding his butt off on a putting green, he's putting in his house. Like, he's like, I've got to become a better putter. And then you just see him pouring in putts. And it's like, all right, I can respect that. Like, that guy knew exactly what he needed to do to continue to win or get back in the winner's circle, and he did it. I mean, he poured some serious putts in on Saturday and Sunday. So
when I look on the record for me, when Brooks was, even before he had the run, really around 2015, 2016, when he kind of came on the scene, and then when he did have that major run from 2017 to 2019, for me, there was no one more fun to watch when they were dominating a tournament. It was like kind of the first person you saw do it like Tiger did in a way.
Where it was like, if he's in the lead, it's like, goodbye.
Yeah.
Like, you're not winning this tournament.
And I mean, you just get, like, literally every swing and every shot was just the same. Like, centers of fairways, centers of greens, and he's pouring putts in when he has to.
Yep, and then when he does make a bad swing, they said this on the broadcast, the guy just takes his medicine and punches it out. He doesn't try to hit the hero shot. He's going to take bogey because he knows he can make bogey up. He can't make doubles up.
Yeah.
And that's a winning formula in any tournament, especially in a major.
I truly wish that he hadn't gotten hurt because I don't think he goes to live if he's not hurt.
No, I don't think so.
And I
either.
feel differently about him because of that, right?
But
So
I
tough.
get his decision when he was hurt. Like, okay, like, I need a paycheck. Like, I need something that's going to kind of get me through this injury. So I completely understand where he was coming from.
If he truly felt like I can't make another dollar, like earn another dollar playing golf, I need an instant, like, a guaranteed payday, I understand it for sure.
Yeah, but I think it is a different decision. If he's playing like this last year, I'd find it hard to believe that he had gone to live.
So it's going to be interesting to see just kind of how all this shakes out. I mean, it might just be that he stays on live and doesn't even, and there's a lot of rumors about him trying to get back to the tour, but if, he can play these live events and use them basically as tune-ups for the majors like he was basically doing on the PGA Tour anyway, he might just stick it out and just keep showing up these majors and being Brooks Koepka. So.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
So, all right. You got to bear with me here as I workshop this.
All right.
I was sitting there trying to think of just like different sports comps for Brooks and what he's done. And then I kind of thought about it in relation to Rory McIlroy, because what I didn't realize, because Rory's been in our lives for so long, is they're basically the same age. I think Brooks is a year older than Rory.
Yeah. Brooks is 33 and
I think he's 34 and Rory's 33.
Yeah, sorry.
Or maybe vice versa, one of the two.
Yep.
Anyway, they're about the same age, and now Brooks passes him, though he had a much kind of later start bursting onto the scene. And, Rory coming up, like, we knew he was coming, right? We were like, this was like the guy. Yeah. He was going to be the next Tiger Woods, right?
Yeah, I mean, when the story, his dad made a bet, like when he was like 12 years old, that he was going to win the Open Championship one day or something like that. That's kind of how and everybody overseas thought that way about him. It was like, this is the next guy.
Yeah, and just, there was just all the comparisons with Tiger, and there's a Nike commercial, where he's like a kid, and, he's looking at the Tiger poster, and he's hitting balls in the washer, all that stuff. And it just reminded me of the way. Now, it's a little different because of the timelines of their careers, but the way we looked at LeBron and Kobe. LeBron, like, Kobe got on the scene first.
Yes.
But when we knew about LeBron, it was like, all right, he's the king. This is the heir apparent to Michael Jordan.
Yep.
Even though Kobe was already there doing his thing, Mamba mentality, all that stuff. And
he was highly talked about, but not in the same way that LeBron was.
Yeah, LeBron had the Rory level hype to be the next guy.
Yeah. Because I think even when Kobe was drafted, it was kind of like, oh, wait, we think he's good, but like, is he going to make it? Kind of thing.
Yeah. So what I got to thinking about was just like, it feels like Brooks is Kobe. Like, he's the dude that's going to go rip your heart out. Mamba mentality.
Yes.
More that Michael Jordan just kind of in your face style, right?
Yep.
And Rory feels like LeBron to me in that, like, they have the all around game. They probably have the better game.
Yes.
But their mentality just isn't
that.
But they
lack that that.
They don't have that,
like that little bit extra.
It's that killer instinct that, like, I'm gonna cut your throat. I'm gonna rip your heart out. And like, you look at the careers, and it's like, LeBron dominates Kobe's stats, just like straight up, like all the countables. He has one less Championship, though. It's 5-4 in favor of Kobe.
Yep.
We're at 5-4 in favor of Brooks right now. And if you look at Rory McIlroy's trophy case, it's a lot fuller than Brooks. And if you look at his bank account, live aside, I don't know what that all shook out to. But earnings on the course, I mean, Rory's got 2 FedEx Cup wins.
Yeah.
So he's got all the other peripheral caliber stuff.
All the sprinkles and this and that. But in reality, right now, Brooks has the cherry on top, right? He's got the cherry that goes on top of the sundae.
When you sit back and look at their careers, if Brooks stays ahead of him, Rory can have all that other stuff, and it won't matter because Brooks' name is going to be higher than his on the major championship list.
Yep.
Which I think
that's the one thing that Brooks has always said that that no one will agree with, and the golf hardos will be like, well, every tournament matters. Anytime we talk about golf, we don't talk about who won the FedEx Cup. We don't talk about who won, as much as I love the Memorial Tournament coming up here, no one talks about how many times they've won the Memorial. They talk about how many majors you have. And that is all it comes down to. And then maybe the next thing is like, okay, what's your Ryder Cup record or whatever it is. None of these other events come up, ever.
The only one I know is Tiger has 82 because it's Tiger and he's, one short of the all-time record?
That's the only time that it matters. If we wouldn't even be talking about this if Rory had 73 wins right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if he was, just behind Tiger in total wins, we wouldn't even be talking about it. But that's the only thing that matters. The majors are the only thing that matter until you get to that point where it's like, okay, you've won the most tournaments ever. Ever. Yeah. That's the only time that matters outside the majors. And fair or not, and like you said, Brooks, Brooks is probably not better than Rory as far as the measurables go. But when it comes down to when you need to win the tournament that matter, I'd take Brooks over Rory in a heartbeat.
100 times out of 100.
Yep.
Yeah.
And even when, and like I'm talking like Rory when he was winning his majors. Like if you take Brooks in the last 6-7 years and Rory when he was winning all his, I'd still take Brooks.
So all right. Thank you for listening to my workshop here. I guess I'll ask the question: who wins more majors from here on out, Brooks or Rory? Brooks. I mean, and if I would, I know Rory showed some flashes this weekend, and he was finally at least in the discussion, right? He wasn't T40, milking the 9:00 tee time on Sunday. Like he was actually in the discussion. Yeah.
Did I ever think that he was going to catch him? No. I think I did tweet out that I had made a Rory bet, but it was more of like a, hey, this is a good payout, and if someone could catch him, if they got hot, it would be him. Well, not what I actually thought was going to happen.
I got suckered in pre-tournament with the boost, and
but there's nothing that tells me that Brooks is not going to win more majors than him from here on out. Nothing. Because if you look at who's putting better, Brooks is putting better. And that does matter in majors, especially in the U.S. Open. When you need them, you're going to have a lot of 8 to 10 foot par putts. You give me, I would, if my life was on the line from 8 to 10 feet, I'd put it in Brooks' hands rather than Rory right now. And, and striking the ball and putting the ball in, it's all in favor of Brooks. And really it has been since Brooks kind of came on the scene and started winning all these. He's been results-wise in majors way better than majors than Rory has. And I just don't see that changing.
Yeah, I agree with you, number one. Number two, I think the way majors are trending, they just seem to be playing more difficult, right? I don't trust Rory at a grinded-out, tournament like a big major championship venue. And he makes, even if it's a shootout, it's like, dude, he stuffs it on one, and then what happens? He comes out and makes a sloppy bogey on two on Sunday. I'm like, it's always one step forward and two back, just all in repeat.
The only major that I could see him getting away with Rory, that he can get away with the way he's been playing, is probably the Open Championship. So the caveat to that is if somehow Rory finds a way to win 4 to 5 more Open championships, I don't see him. That would be the only way. I truly feel like that is the only major that right now, the way that Rory's playing, that he can win. He's not winning in U.S. Open the way he's hitting the ball off the tee and putting. He's not, clearly he's not going to win a PGA if Brooks is up there. Because it's like you said, it's just like it's one step forward, 2 steps back. And he's not going to, Augusta is in his head ever since that happened to him. And I don't know if he'll ever get over that.
I used to think it was inevitable, and now I'm at the point.
It's in his head. It's completely in his head. So I would even throw that one out. Like, he's not going to win. So unless he wins like 3 or 4 more Opens, because I feel like that's the only that's the only place he can get away with spraying it all over planet Earth and kind of playing that, and he obviously he's played there, he's played over there in most of his life. I just don't see it happening. There's just no way. Yeah. No way. Zero
Time
chance.
will tell, but I hope we get a couple run-ins between the two of them here over the next few years in majors. I think that's probably the best storyline you're going to get on a major championship weekend would be Brooks versus Rory. Okay, tough transition here, but Bryson DeChambeau.
This should be pretty quick.
Okay, so Bryson, he popped up in a way that a lot of people didn't expect. He kind of hung around for a while. He made a comment that basically Brooks winning this kind of validates everything for, Live Golf and the players that went there. Agree or disagree?
Okay, so I'm going to agree on a couple points, and then I'm going to disagree on a couple points. Okay. I disagree, and I've been pretty stern with saying this, that with all the guys that are on that tour, no one is discounting that Bryson's clearly when Bryson's healthy, he is a much different player. He showed that this week. I will give him that. He's finally healthy. No one's discounting Bryson's a good player. Everybody knows that. He just won a U.S. Open less than 3 years ago. No one's discounting Brooks is a good player, like a great player. Cam Smith is a great player. These guys are great players. No one's discounting that. Nobody. No, at least not that I know of. Mm-hmm. No one's like, oh, well, these guys are now worse players because they're on that tour. No one's, at least the smart people in the room and talking have never said that. At least someone with a brain. And I also agree with the fact that this shows that the world golf rankings of some sort should be giving these guys world golf rankings for that tournament. Because when you have a guy like Brooks playing how he is, they rank other tournaments that are 3 days. So I'm done hearing that argument. That's why I said the fact that they're not at least ranking their tournaments, giving some kind of ranking points for their tournaments, is incredibly stupid, which is why I'm completely against the world golf rankings. So those are the 2 points that I kind of agree and disagree on, but that's stupid. Like Brooks, that's the dumbest thing. Like no one ever thought that these guys aren't good players.
Yeah,
like Cam Smith was on a freaking heater last year, and if he didn't get lazy over the offseason like he's openly admitted, he's probably playing, and he's kind of showed the flash on Sunday this week.
Yeah, shot 65.
But I thought it was a dumb comment. Like, again, it just goes back to, the guys are like, well, the media's making all this stuff up, and then Bryson comes out and it's like pitting each other, pitting the two tours against each other again. I'm like, it's stupid. But here's the thing. Those guys being good does not make some rando Australian guy that they have on one of their teams one week a good golfer.
Yeah.
Or good enough to be on the PGA Tour. That's where I'm like, yeah, the live is, we'll call it 12 to 15 deep. But after that, it's kind of like a hodgepodge of like DP World Tour guys and Asian Tour guys that, let's just be honest, would never be mainstays on the PGA Tour.
Right. Or has been PGA Tour players.
So I kind of agreed with, I agree with it. Like, yes, the world rankings should be giving them some kind of points for their tournaments. Now, not a lot, because it's a 40-man field, but some. But to say that, like, oh, this vindicates us, like, dude, we all know you're good. We know Brooks is good. We know Cam Smith's good. No one's discounting that. So that was like, that's stupid. It's kind of dumb. But
yeah, I mean, I agree with most of what you said, but to quote my boy Don Draper, that's what the money's for. All right, we're not out here giving away world ranking points to the 54-hole event, 48-man field. There was no qualification system for these guys to get there. You're getting paid. If you want to play in the big tournaments and all that stuff, then you show up to wherever they're going to let you play to get world ranking points, and you go beat their ass. Otherwise, I'm not. Take it away. Take it away.
But I will say that with this tournament, it is just sad that we don't get this on a somewhat regular basis. Guys like Bryson, like I used to hate Bryson, right? Like, and I think we all kind of talked about, like, dude, the guy's just overbearing. Is he plays too much into the scientist shtick, but after not seeing him for a while, because I did not really watch a lot of Live. I watched a little bit. I kind of like him now. I'm like, he's better when the game's better when he's playing in these tournaments.
I think it
because he's good.
The majors have already obviously been the big deal in the sport, but like it seems like it feels like they're a little bit elevated with this whole thing going.
100%. Yeah, because I was like, and even Danielle was like, "Don't you hate that guy?" And I'm like, honestly, I'm kind of having fun watching him play golf.
It's interesting when
knowing that he's playing against a field of some of the 150 of the best golfers in the world, right? Rather than playing like 15 good golfers and 25 no names, kind of thing. But he's better. He's good for the game. Like, people like him. I'm not a big fan of him, but I will tell you, I found myself like, God, like he's more interesting with him involved. Even though they're like, oh, he's hitting an 8-iron, 215 yards. It's like, well, if you look at the degrees on his loft, like his loft on his clubs, his 8-iron's like a 5-iron in reality.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. It was good. It's just sad that we're only going to get this 4 times a year in reality. And
yeah, I mean, it feels like at some point something will get worked out in some way.
I hope so.
But for now, this is what we get.
But they are elevated now because this is the only time we get Brooks and Bryson and Cam Smith and playing against Rory and JT, and even though he sucked this week.
Yeah,
but
we'll get there.
Yeah.
A few shout-outs just to make. Dude, Victor Hovland. All 4 rounds, 70 or better. Only guy in the field to do it.
Putting, man. He putted better this week. That's what's been missing from his game. No one's ever doubted his ball striking. His putting was just... He putted the ball pretty well for him.
Well, first time I was hearing this, I'm pretty sure, but I guess this is his 3rd top 10 in a major in a row, which was shocking to me.
That is very shocking.
I know he's that good, but I just missed it. It just missed me. I didn't catch it.
For how good his golf game was this weekend, his outfits were equally terrible.
Horrible. But oh my God, the bunker on 16, like, I mean, I guess he's like trying to Herm Edwards it, you play to win the game, but like, man, literally the same exact
shot as Corey
Connors. And it was just like, you could just see him like hand over the face, looking up to the skies, like, what the hell did I just do?
Yeah, but in reality, it's like, he ended up, T2? Because he birdied 18.
Yeah.
In reality, like, he doesn't care. Unless he comes in first, he doesn't care if he comes in 2nd or 7th.
I know.
At that point.
Well, he was 1 shot back going into that hole?
Yeah, I know. But you got to go for it at some point because Brooks was...
Well, shot of the tournament, Brooks Koepka steps up. Like, they can't even get the camera barely on him. He's so ready to hit the shot and just stuffs it and makes birdie as, Victor's melting down. Got too close to the sun.
Yeah.
The wax melted. Okay, Scotty.
Meaningless 65 on Sunday.
I mean, T2, it was
I know,
more than
but
meaningless.
it just felt like he was never... After Saturday, I cannot believe how... I was so surprised at how bad he played on Saturday. It just felt like a day where he was going to kind of go out and maybe distance himself from some people, and he just, fell right back into the pack of people that were, 6-pack and not really in it.
He just couldn't make any putts. He was, I mean, he was missing.
And he had the lefts, man. He had the lefts so bad on Saturday. And I don't know if it was just slippery and he was just coming over the top. I mean, he always comes over the top a little bit, but maybe it was just because it was slippery. He was coming over the top even more. But he had the lefts so bad.
Can relate. Jordan Spieth, our king, put in the porta potties on what was that Saturday?
I was like, only him, man. He is literally the only person that would fucking do that.
And
dude's probably in there just taking a dump on ball plucks the freaking porter potty. And honestly, I swear to God, if I was sitting in a porter potty, pissing or whatever, and a ball hit it, and I had an idea what time it was, I would peg him for the one that would do it.
Probably, yeah.
Easily.
It's him or Bryson. Those are your two most likely candidates. Yeah, I got caught on a hot mic, too. I think it was Sunday morning.
The mics were very hot
all
this
week
weekend.
long. Whew. Yeah.
Including for Rom, who just absolutely annihilated a mic on Saturday.
Again, another one. Oh, man. Just that was...
And yelled at the cameraman.
Yeah.
It was not a good day for Rom on Saturday either.
Jeez, yeah. So other players like Xander, Cantlay, Morikawa. I know Morikawa he hasn't been playing well for a while, but still 2 majors, you expect him to kind of be around.
Those groups of guys, man, maybe not so much Cantlay, but Xander and Morikawa is like...
No, Xander and Cantlay were like... they were even with Rory and odds going into the week, basically. Like, just
I know, but it's like
competitive.
Morikawa and Xander, it's like those were, again, we were sold that they were like the future, the young guys, and it's just like, it just has not been good recently. Just not good. Not good at all.
I know. I mean, Xander's got a really good major record in terms of just like top 10s and stuff, but I think he's only been, it was with the Hideki Masters is probably his only legit chance to win one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Cantlay, he finished top 10, but I mean, just an ultimate backdoor top 10. He had like one good round.
Yeah.
I don't know. They can miss me. Biggest disappointments. I think we just got to go straight to we try to write some Monday headlines. Spoiler alert, they did not go well.
Those were the furthest from the headlines. Actually, I even made a bet on Tuesday. I was sitting next to someone in this big pick'em game, and I talked my boy Fleck, Tim Fleckenstein. I talked him out of getting Victor Hovland out of the B group and putting in Tony Finau.
Oh no.
And I owe him $10. I said if Victor beats him, I will pay him $10. I'll pay half his entry fee. So now I owe that because
he might have got him by 20 shots.
I mean, easily.
Yeah.
Our headlines were way off.
Yeah. So mine was my biggest disappointment to Rom. Throwing an honorable mention to JT, who just continues to just like no show in these tournaments. I don't know what is going on. There's
just something not right this year.
I almost wonder if he's hurt at this point. Like he'd
have to be. I mean, it's just not good. Saturday, he just was like, he wanted to be on the PJ back to his house like 8 holes into Saturday. And I don't know what's going on there. He's honestly just, I don't know. He can't get off the tee. He's just like all over the place. And
even the stuff you could rely on, he used to be like the best ball striker, 150 yards an in.
There.
He just doesn't have it.
Not there. I mean, and then Finau, to be honest with you, after he made the cut and barely made the cut, I just lost interest even in
his
tracking
Friday
what
round.
he was doing.
I don't know how many pars he made on Friday, but it was not many.
The Friday round, try the Thursday round. He freaking made turn at like 41 or 42 and then had 4 birdies on the back just to get it back to like +2.
Okay. So I think Friday he was just like alternating birdies and bogeys.
And maybe that's what it was too. Neither of those rounds are good, but it was enough for him to make the cut. Just enough to embarrass me even more.
Well, on Sunday, he had like that shot. I don't know if you saw it, but he was like in like a rock bed basically, and he was trying to like hit one up on the green, and it ricochets off the rocks and goes into the crowd. And yeah, it was just not.
I think
on
on Saturday evening, I muted Finau in my Twitter feed. I was like, I don't need to see anything that's going on with him. I was so done with him. I was done with him after Friday, but I kind of was like, okay, Saturday if we go out, everybody's kind of falling back. If he can just like squeeze out like a 69, maybe a 68, you can probably make a pretty big jump forward. I think he shot like 76 or something. I was like,
not good.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, yeah. Disappointed. Very disappointed.
Speaking of disappointments, one of our favorite segments each week, we had to figure out who needed the back 9 6-pack at the PGA Championship.
Did this person ever need it?
I gave all the club pros a pass. Look, we didn't need to do that.
They've got a full-time job, and it's not golfing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when you scroll through and you see all those, logos on the leaderboard of who's a PGA pro, there was a name that stood out to me at the very bottom there.
He was surrounded by club pros.
Surrounded by club pros.
Again, not dissing club pros. Like, they have full-time jobs that are not golfing. Most of them don't golf that much, honestly. But he was surrounded by them.
And that was Mr. Sam Burns, who second round shot an 80. Now, the interesting thing here is I think he needed the front 9 6-pack because I love this story here. All right. So round 2 is when he shoots the 80, right? Well, he goes out in 44, so he's just nuked himself. But he gets it back and shoots 36-1 over on the back 9. Almost, I mean, he had a chance to break 80
He had
still.
a chance.
But what makes this interesting, if you go back to his first round, he starts on the back 9 and shoots 1 under. Goes on to shoot a 40 on the front 9, which was, his second 9. So I took a look at this, and I was like, you know what? I wonder what his worst ball score would be if you took his 2 front 9s. So his worst score on the front 9 for each hole for the 2 days would have been a 47.
Oh my God.
So here's his front
So
9 score.
He didn't buck up the same holes. It sounds like he just fucked up all of them.
Yeah.
At some point or along the road.
He shot 14 over and missed the cut. He was 14 over on the front 9. He was even par on the back 9 for the tournament.
Oh my God.
So
Oh, God.
here's his.
I love Sam Burns, by the way. Just on the record,
yeah.
I love Sam Burns. I think he's probably one of the most talented younger guys out there. But man, does he can put up some freaking scores, and not in a good way.
So
Most of the time.
The round 140, I mean, he doubled number 1 and then just had 3 other bogeys and no birdies at all, right? Okay, round 2, we go par, triple, par, double, par, bogey.
Sounds like my card last week.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't.
That's awesome.
Front 9 or back 9. Sam Burns needed a 6-pack. Runaway winner this week.
We haven't. Dick Johnson didn't play this week, so we don't know if he got the bump. But look up Sam Burns because we've had someone get a win after getting the award 3 weeks prior. So,
And hey, not to be
hot take might be a good pick for the U.S. Open. We don't know.
Look, Victor Hovland, we gave the back 9 6-pack to.
T2.
Almost won the freaking PGA
And
Championship.
talked a lot of shit about him last week.
Oh, I was so hot. Look, I was jaded. That was my one and done pick. Dude. Finau was my one and done pick this week. I am just in the absolute gutter after a hot start. It's bad.
Oh God,
It's bad.
Well,
right.
So we're moving on. Our first guest. We'll get right into the interview here. My guy, PGA Tour caddy. We don't go through this in the interview, but he just so happens to be friends with Kid Rock, which is so crazy. And fellow Tiffin Dragon, go Gons. Here we go, Jay Green. All right, so welcome to our very first guest, ex-college golfer, my most interesting Snapchat friend by far, and it's not even remotely close. Fellow Tiffin Dragon, and then most recently known as a PGA Tour caddy. Welcome to Jay Green. How's it going?
It's going great. Glad to be on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm glad you could join us. Yeah, I'm glad you could join us. I know you probably have somewhat of a busy schedule. I know you travel a lot and things like that. But being a podcast that we are, we kind of answered these questions ourselves when we first started. But kind of tell us about your golf story, maybe how you got started in it, and then leading up to kind of where you are now.
Yeah, sure. Grew up on a golf course. I've played ever since I can remember. Played junior golf, high school golf, and then ultimately went to Tiffin University, played 4 years there, had some good success while we were there. After college, I applied to dental school, tried to go to dental school. After 3 failed attempts, I was like, you know what? Forget this, on to the next. And then COVID hit, and so I really wasn't doing anything. I was caddying. Well, I was working as an assistant at a club in Tampa, and then we moved from Tampa to Sea Island March 25th of 2020. So it was like a week before the world shut down. And got here, I was caddying at Sea Island. There's a bunch of courses here. And then my fiance works for a sports agency that's on the island they represent a bunch of golfers. And just like out of the whim, one of their guys qualified for the US Open in 2021 at Torrey Pines, and it was like last minute kind of search to get him a caddy. And then they were like, "Can you do it?" I'm like, "Absolutely."
Yeah, absolutely.
So they kind of told me, they were
And
like,
who did you caddy for there? Who was that?
so that was Spencer Ralston.
That's right. Okay.
He just graduated from Georgia. Had made it through sectionals, and then got in. It was kind of funny. He got in on a exemption into sectionals based on his he had won the junior players, and so after he had taken that exemption to get into sectionals and bypass locals, made it through sectionals and had to play in the US Open as a amateur. So went there.
Gotcha.
And after that, I found out on Friday and I flew out on Saturday morning. And
Yeah, I knew it was a pretty quick turnaround from
yeah,
just kind of following the story and
yeah.
things like that when you were, Snapchat and things like that.
So then kind of get out there, do the US Open, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is what I want to do. And it was nice. I could come back home and caddy at Sea Island, but also kind of look to get out there and find someone. So then that fall, I worked for just guys from their sports agency that had either Monday qualified into a tournament, or I went with Spencer for second stage Q school and final stage for Corn Ferry. Worked for like 6 guys that fall. Just trying to get my foot in the door. And it's hard too, because a lot of those guys want experience. And then it's hard to get experience because, you can't get out there.
Yeah, everybody wants bones on their bag, right?
Yeah. So, and then I worked for a guy, Will Gordon, from all last year and then through Pebble Beach this year. We had a good run, had a lot of success. And then he let me go at Pebble Beach, worked for Grayson Murray for 2 events. And then I started with Kevin Roy in Punta Cana, and we've done 6 events together so far. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's where we're at now.
Awesome. Now, let's go back, I guess, a little bit. First off, your teams at Tiffin were way better than mine. How many conference championships did you guys win?
2.
3? Was it 2 or 3 when you were there? 2. Okay.
Yeah.
And they were back to back, correct?
Yeah, they were my freshman and sophomore year.
Yeah. And because your brother was on was he on both teams or just one of them?
He was on both. He was a year older. So
that's what I thought.
And then
so I guess knowing that, and how is it playing with a sibling like that? Because my brother was way older. Mitch, your brother didn't even play golf, right?
No.
So how was it playing on a especially at a college level, the same team? Because I know you guys probably played in high school together, but at a college level, how was that?
it was good. My brother Brett and I have always been super close, and we've kind of always challenged each other. We're polar opposite, like mentality, the way we play golf. He's long ball. I'm like straight and consistent, have a good short game. And, we very opposite, but, we've always really got along, and we pushed each other. But it was also nice having, in the state of Ohio, we had some Michiganders that were able to stick together.
Heck yeah. Yeah, there was how many Michigan is it Michigan Knights or Michiganders? How do you say that? How many
Michiganders.
were on that team? Because there was like 3 or 4 on that team, correct?
I
You guys had a decent amount of
Oh
people
yeah,
from
we had
Michigan.
we had four. It was because it was
Okay.
yeah, me, Brett, Logan Price, and Cam Lau.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so with the major coming up, I think I could speak for Mitch too. What was it like when the U.S. Open? Say now that you know what a regular PGA Tour event is like, caddying for somebody. How much different is the feel of say like when you caddied in the U.S. Open at Torrey compared to say caddying at Punta Cana or even in that elevated event
yeah.
on the PGA Tour?
The majors. I mean, obviously, I've only done one, but it was so surreal being there. Like the focus, and it's not like the PGA Tour events. It's the same venues year in and year out. When you get to the majors, obviously different venues. It's There's no pro-ams. So it's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the work that gets put in, just, more so just making sure that you've touched all your bases, hit all the shots around the greens that you've wanted to hit. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think everyone is just like ultra focused.
Gotcha. So,
Yes. And
sorry, real quick.
go ahead, Mitch. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm curious, have you had any courses that you've gone back or cities you've gone back around to at this point, or are you still like every week's a new week for you right now?
I think I've had maybe like I've done RSM Classic at Sea Island. I've done that twice. Um, and like a couple Corn Ferry events I've done twice. Um, but it is so nice when I get back to a course that I've been to because, like your yardage books, you've got all the slopes on the green that you
Mhm.
paced off, so it's like during a practice round, you can just throw down discs and then just like toss balls or say like, hey, I want you to putt from here in this spot. You've got those where the pins were last year, you've got them in your book, where some like red X's are, where easy up and downs are. Um, it's very nice going back to a place that I've been to.
Yeah.
Well, especially the pre-work, right? Like, there's probably lot when you're specifically if you're at a course that you probably even never played at. There's
Yeah.
probably what's the pre-work like
Yeah.
to
So
to
I
get
like
like your
to,
yardage book ready?
like, when I get there, I like to get there before boss does. And I like to walk all 18 holes just because I like to have my fresh thoughts. Um, so when we go and play a practice round, I've got my thoughts and then he can kind of rebuttal, but at least we're not both, if we're both there for the first time, at least we're not like, oh yeah, this looks like a good spot. Go hit it here. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so just having a little bit more knowledge for him, I think helps.
So is it different between, you've worked with a few guys now, like in terms of that responsibility split? For do they players lean on you more or less? Like, how does that all work
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had a couple that rely heavily on the homework that I've done. And then I've also had some that keep it so simple, like they don't want to know all this information that I have, just because it can kind of, I mean, it just takes away the freedom in the swing. Um, so yeah, every player is different. I've seen that.
Do you feel like you approach the game more like from that analytical perspective or more of like the go be an athlete kind of thing?
Um, I think when you're in practice rounds, I think that's the time to talk about, okay, like slope wise and, like being analytical. I think it's, I think you're better off in competition to just react and be an athlete. Um, and that's kind of one thing that I'm going through right now with um, Kevin that I'm working with Monday through Wednesday. I mean, we're just flushing it in practice rounds. And then on the weekend, like in competition, he's hitting it nicely, but like he's got 20, 30 footers where in the practice round, and I know the pins are different and whatnot, but
Yeah.
I can see there's a little bit of a difference in how it's played on in competition Thursday through Sunday.
For sure. For sure. Now, let me ask you this. So if you're caddying for somebody and they start out double bogey and they're staring down plus 5 over in the first 3 holes, what's your what are you saying to them on hole 4 before they tee off? Not that I have any experience in this situation recently, but
Sometimes it's
just out of curiosity.
sometimes it's man, I wonder what time my flight's gonna be Friday afternoon. Or no, a lot of the time, like if you start like that, it's just you just try and get them to breathe and just realize that there's a lot of golf left. Obviously, yeah, you don't want to start like that, but there's plenty of golf left, and everyone out there, your good is good enough. You don't need to try and make something happen. Just go out and play how you know how to play.
Do you feel like is it more important for Caddy to be like a good interpersonal communicator or like to have that golf acumen and that golf level?
Recently, I've kind of found out that it's more so how like you present your information to them and how like what words you're actually saying. Like there's a lot of times where you want to just be like, no, take some off, but you don't want to be like, don't hit it, you know, too soft or, like, or they'll be like,
Yeah,
I think,
don't baby this.
yeah, or it's like, I think this is playing like 175 and you're thinking it's less than that or something. You don't want to be like, yeah, at most. So then I think it's mainly like you just want to be like I'm thinking it's more so like 170, something like that. But there's a little bit of golf knowledge that you want to obviously have, but more so presenting the information and the facts of what you feel. But
Yeah. Have you ever had a moment where what you said wasn't received well?
yes.
Do you need to leave it at that, or can you explain?
Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
All good.
I got in a verbal argument with a caddy one time. One of my caddies one time in the middle of a fairway during a match, and then the next shot I piped this 3-wood directly out of bounds, and then he's kind of looked at me, and that's when I was going to fight him because I knew he was right.
Yeah.
I won't name names, but
Yeah.
I've always wondered that because I've only caddied a couple times, and one of them just happened to be a nationwide Corn Ferry, and they used to have an event in Cincinnati, and Brian Unk, right? That's who I caddied for, and it was kind of one of those things where I was like, I think it's playing 165. He thought I was playing like 170. He gets into a back bunker. 8 holes later, we find out he misses the cut by 1. And then it's like, we kind of get off the green. I was like, oh, we made the cut. We've been here tomorrow, kind of thing. I said that, and he just looked at me. He's like, take your fucking check.
Yeah.
I only made like $200, but it was okay. I enjoyed that experience, but I've had that,
Oh,
where
it's
it's
the
like you want
worst.
to just be like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also
I can't,
when
especially
you're,
when you talk about the tournaments you guys. Sorry, go ahead.
I think like it's so hard to, I mean, obviously, always be right, but then also like accept when you are wrong because it's like as a caddy, you never know if they hit the number that you're talking about or the line you're talking about. So, yeah, we can say whatever we want, but he's the one that's pulling the club and hitting the ball. Um, so it's a hard job.
Well, yeah, and I think as players too, right? Like we're kind of, we don't always have caddies, but we're kind of in our head, especially, you know, for you play the college level and stuff like that, and you play in tournaments, and Mitch plays in tournaments now at our club. It's like you have an interpersonal caddy, right? You're
Oh
thinking
yeah.
like, all right, I know I need to hit it here,
Yeah.
and then like you can it doesn't always happen that way, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Now let me ask you this: so when you're in the caddy, what they call it, like the caddy, they have like caddy rooms, correct, at tournaments where
Yeah,
you
like
kind of mingle.
caddy dining.
Now, as a newer guy, are you received pretty well in that room, or is it kind of like they kind of let you figure it out on your own, or like if you ask somebody for advice or something like that, would someone give it to you?
So what I've noticed, obviously doing a whole year out on Corn Ferry, like the Corn Ferry caddies, it's very much so like a brotherhood. Like we all look out for each other. A lot of times we stay with two, three, four guys. We split rental cars on Corn Ferry just to limit the cost of being out there just with the purses so low. And then you get out on PGA Tour and it's like you can see that there's cliques of caddies and someone said it to me best, like the money out, like they're coming after you for like your job and you never know when that's going to happen. But I had a really, my first event, the US Open, we were paired with Justin Suh and Dylan Wu. And um, we were two back of the cut line. And we kind of knew coming up 18, we needed an eagle. And Spencer hit a 7-wood, and it was back right pin, and it landed probably like 2 feet past it and went kind of like through that back right bunker where he was on the rough, but
Yep.
his first swing, his first shot, to try and make eagle, he had to put 1 foot in the bunker and 1 foot was out, downslope, and he hits it. It lands on the top slope, like probably a foot from being perfect, and it comes back in the bunker. And I've got my rake right there. I clean his club. I give it back to him, and he's still in the bunker, but there's another guy that's going to go. Well, I'm raking this bunker, the footprint, and then Spencer goes ahead and hits, and we're walking off 18, and Dylan Wu's caddy pulls me aside, and we're like in like the little tiny TV tower thing that goes up, like the walkway underneath of it.
Oh yeah.
Like the tiny little
Yeah.
secluded thing. He pulls me aside. He's like, "Hey man, I just want to tell you, like, that's a penalty, but obviously you didn't think you were doing anything wrong. Like, since Spencer was still in the bunker, like you got to wait till your player's out um, to rake the bunker." But he's like, obviously, I'm not going to say anything. You guys missed the cut, but if you make the cut, there's someone that is coming after you because
Right.
that's their money, like. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is dog eat dog.
All right, so
But they're
hold on.
Well, yeah, you guys are kind of going after the same pots, right? I
yeah,
mean, like,
yeah,
if you guys both, you and another guy make the cut, and you're in the field, competing for a paycheck,
yeah,
that might be the difference between his player making $100,000 and 70 grand,
yeah.
right? So that's just more money in his pocket. So
See,
that makes
that's
sense.
what makes it so crazy to me. What happened with the whole like Brooks and Gary Woodland thing at the Masters, right? The whole controversy surrounding like if he gave him a signal for what club he hit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So like somebody might call
1,000% did.
right, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
So like you have that.
I talked with him, and I was like, I saw him last week, and I asked him, I was like, "Come on, you said 5. We hit 5. You said that." And he's like,
Oh
like,
my god.
Yeah. And I'm like, you guys literally went on, like, when this whole thing happened, you went on and said no, and now 2 months later, you're saying, I was like, come on.
Oh, I can't.
Well, and they're boys too.
But
so,
also,
like, no
that's
one would've,
like what Brandel Chambly said, and what the other guys on like live from the Masters. They all like we do that as caddies. We do. We're given symbols. It happens. I don't.
especially if it's someone if it's someone you like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh
So,
yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's like that cutthroat, but then you guys are still cool with like throwing up a hand signal. Yeah, that's funny.
That's like one of the unwritten rules that is okay.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, I'm
But
curious.
But didn't that same thing? Hold on, real quick, the bunker thing, because didn't that happen in the USAM at like 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, yeah.
In one, I think it was like the semifinal match, and the guy lost the hole because of it.
I think
right?
that was like last year or 2 years ago or something.
Because it was at it was the one that was out in Oregon. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on the course right now.
Bandon Dunes.
Bandon, yeah, that's the one that was at Bandon.
Yeah, okay. So
and I think the guy ended up losing that hole and then ended up losing that match. I didn't even think of that. I'm like, that's a penalty, but then I'm like, oh, I guess you are technically testing.
Yeah.
But that's funny. I mean, it's kind of stupid, but
yeah, I was like,
I was just thinking of that when you were kind of telling that story. I was like, I thought that happened in the USA not that long ago. So
is it nerve-wracking breaking the bunkers? That seems like I'd be so afraid. I'm not gonna lie.
You've been critiqued.
Yeah.
Like, I swear, every single bunker, there's a volunteer right by, and they're just, hawking, just watching. But that's like my favorite thing to do out there is to rake the bunker.
Yeah, I could see it would be pretty satisfying if you're, feel like you're good at it.
There's also like the big wide rakes. Those are perfect. Like the small, tiny ones with the deep tines, terrible. But
that's gonna be. I could see that being another thing when you get if you're like ahead of a group or whatever, and they're like, "Hey, dickhead, thanks for raking the bunker like an asshole."
Yeah,
my guy ended up in it. It's like.
But it's also like
he was
learning
about the guy that raked it before him.
like learning how just kind of like all the caddies, like we work together. Like if there's, let's say, 2 guys in the fairway and we're in the bunker, and those 2 guys hit on the green and we're in the bunker, we hit it like short right or short left, or like anywhere but the green, basically. Like one of those caddies comes over and rakes the bunker for you so you can go up. So learning just how to, like, a cycle, just how to, and when to know when it's like your turn to go. It's been fun.
I was always, when I caddied, I was always nervous, especially in a Corn Ferry Tour event. I was nervous that I was always told the through lines. Like I feel like in amateur golf, you don't really think about through lines, things like that. But I was like nervous about that, and I even remember like asking Brian, I'm like, "Hey, like I don't want to walk in through anybody's through line." And he's like, "We're playing at 220, man. Look at the freaking greens. Like there's spike marks everywhere."
Yeah.
It's like I don't think they're gonna carry your gym shoes walking through their through line.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I just wanted to make sure. I didn't know if that is that like a thing that someone could get mad about. Like, have you had anybody get mad about that?
No, I mean, because everyone's kind of pretty good about it.
Yeah. That was the one thing I was like a nervous wreck about, though. I was like, oh shit. I'm like, I don't even
I
think
mean,
about this when I normally play golf. You worry about walking through someone's line, but you
yeah,
just don't worry about it. You're out playing with your buddies or whatever.
like
You're
the
not worried about.
4 feet right behind it. It's like you gotta do a little
Yeah.
tiptoe dance of see where everyone's at. Try to go in, get the
Yeah.
flag.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So Mitch, you want to let's start the 6-pack lightning round. You want to
Uh,
get it started? How about you kick it off for us?
I got one more question before we do that. So just
Oh, okay. All
just
right. Okay.
because Jay, you've bounced, I mean, you've gone back and forth on so many different tours and stuff. Like from a fan perspective on TV, it's kind of hard to see like what the difference might actually be out there between like the Corn Ferry and the PGA Tour, other than that the players are better and the courses probably are a little better condition. Like, is the vibe just completely different too? Like, what are some of the main differences between the different levels of tours?
So I mean, I think obviously PGA Tour, like you said, there's majority the players are better, but Corn Ferry, like there's some damn good players.
Yeah,
The courses are significantly better on PG Tour, which is why you don't see like 26 under every week like you do on the Corn Ferry. Um, the vibe, I mean, it's cool because there's actually fans that come out and watch. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. It's more like on PJ Tour, it's like a bigger deal. It's a bigger event. There's a lot of concerts that go on. So much more media, TV. Um, it just feels like how a tournament should be run.
yeah,
Um, Not bashing the Corn Ferry at all. I mean, there's no money to be made. People aren't going to watch that like they will PJ Tour.
Yeah.
But
Now, is the travel more expensive on at tour events for sites, or is it? It's obviously probably
yeah,
cheaper at Corn Ferry sites, right?
yeah. Because Corn Ferry, you're going to like smaller cities. PJ Tour, it's like they hit all the big cities.
Metroplexes and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. But I still split like some Airbnbs with caddies. That came
Yeah,
up.
help out with the cost.
Yeah, yeah. You just try and it's fun too. Like if you can staying in a hotel gets old fast. So if you can bounce around Airbnb a couple weeks, hotel, obviously it's nice to have your own spot
Yep.
every once in a while, but Airbnbs are cool because you get the camaraderie of being in the same house. Like last week I stayed
Feel
with
feel a little more like home.
yeah, last week I stayed with Austin Eckroat's caddy.
Oh,
I
nice.
stay with Stone a good bit, and there's an unwritten rule. It's if the player wins, the caddy and you're staying together, the caddy pays for housing. So I was really rooting for Eckroat to win last week.
And I was just saying yesterday that I didn't want him to win. Now I gotta feel bad about that.
Well, Jason Day,
Uh,
you're Ohio.
Yeah.
oh yeah, fellow Ohioan. So you want to kick it off, Mitch? Let's kick this lightning round off.
Yeah, well, we're trying to figure out what these segments are going to be when we have guests on. So Jay, you're sort of the experiment here, but
Perfect.
Yeah.
we
Hope I do all right.
you're good. So obviously the back nine 6-pack. We want to do a 6-pack of lightning round questions. A couple easy ones to start with. So what's your favorite or the best part of the job for you?
I would say the travel and just seeing these courses that I kind of grew up watching on TV, seeing them in person, just being, and even too, like seeing these professional golfers that I've watched growing up too, playing practice rounds with them, like being in the locker room, seeing them come up to me, "Hey Jay," it's like, what?
you know my name.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Just it's kind of everything I've ever dreamed about like it's been better.
Yeah, just to have a job being around golf. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Since there's the best part, there's got to be a worst part. What's the worst part?
We're
For me, it'd be walking, but
worst part, I would say either travel again, also like the logistics of traveling and missing a cut, changing your flight, or making the cut and playing well, and you had like kind of a mid-afternoon flight and you need to change that flight. So it's just a balancing act of that. I'm kind of getting to the point where it's like practice rounds are kind of annoying. Like, I just want to compete. I just want to get into the competition, get into
Yeah,
right for Thursday.
that's awesome.
for sure.
You said you've only had a couple of these that you've had, but I was curious if you have a favorite city or tournament that you go back to of the few that you've had come back around.
Let's see. I think my two favorite tournaments right now are Mexico, at Mayakoba, and then Mexico 2 weeks ago at Puerto Vallarta at
Nice.
Vedanta. That I also got my first win in Boise, Idaho. So
That's pretty cool.
Probably hell with a special place, I'd imagine.
yeah,
Boise is one of the bigger like Corn Ferry events, correct?
yeah, it was the first. It's a finals
Yeah, okay.
event. Yeah, one of the finals. That the one at Scarlet or whatever, the Ohio State course.
Yep.
And then there's one in Evansville, Indiana, the final Victoria National.
Gotcha. And then Mexico, is that just because Mexico's sweet? It's like a vacation, or
Mexico at Mayakoba, we finished tied for third,
oh, nice.
but also like it was 1 week I chose to stay by myself because it was like $140 to stay by yourself or $120 a night to stay with someone else. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just because all inclusive, like the all inclusive resort was awesome. There's a casino on site. I played blackjack. I made like 1,500 in blackjack. Paid for my room for the week.
Hell yeah.
But it was just like cool. They've got those. Did you go, Smiley?
I just played. I just played Mayakoba. Yeah,
So good. Like they have those.
I'm telling you, it's the popsicles are trash. Though I'm not gonna lie to you. They give you popsicles at the end of the round. I got a coconut one. It was trash. So I don't know if you like them. Maybe I got the wrong flavor.
We didn't.
I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, really? Yeah, they gave us popsicles at the end of the round. It was freaking awesome. But the course itself was fantastic.
Like,
I mean, it's unbelievable.
I mean, it's tight, but you also get some views out on the water. But they have those. I don't remember what they're called. Those like monkeys with the super long tails.
Chupacabras or something?
Yeah,
Chupacabra.
But
dude, they'll steal crap out of your car.
Oh yeah,
they told me not to leave my wallet and phone in there because
they'll take it.
Come up and take whatever.
Yeah.
They don't care.
And then Vedanta, where we were, Puerto Vallarta, it was kind of the same thing, like a resort, all inclusive. This place, they had a Caddie par 3 contest, so they had this 10-hole par 3 course that was perfectly manicured. So when tournaments do that, either like a tee gift or do a caddy tournament, it's pretty cool when they do that.
Makes it more fun.
Yeah,
for sure.
And like
for sure,
all for this caddy competition, we're all playing, and our players caddying for us. So like,
nice.
It's like you get to
shoes
switch.
On the other foot.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, so there's always a favorite snack on the course, right? Like I prefer my hot dogs, but I know everybody's a little more healthy than I am. What's your go-to snack or meal on the course?
Uncrustables.
Oh, nice.
Not a bad choice. I'd take that. Yeah, I'd do that. Maybe I need to start doing that.
They have
They're easy to carry.
that's one thing when we were talking about the difference. So like Corn Ferry, you'd show up and they'd have like those Nature Valley bars that you open them and it's like dust. Like you get on PGA Tour and you get to the first tee and they've got just it's like a vending machine of like whatever you can think of, all the snacks.
Oh, that's legit.
Yeah.
Oh, so I'd somehow walking 16 miles a day would find a way to gain weight if I was a PGA Tour caddy.
All right, similar, another go-to question. You got a go-to pair of shoes that you caddy in?
Yeah, I do. The On Cloud running shoes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But I
Good for
might start, I'm just getting into the Air Force One lows, like the golf ones, the one that Finau wears.
Yeah, you're speaking Justin's language now.
But well,
Yeah.
my buddy works down at Grove 23, and he gets them so cheap. Like, and he was just like, just tell me what size. So I got two of them, and they're so comfortable. I wear them like when I fly and when I'm going out to dinner.
I was gonna say, like, they're pretty much gym shoes. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't even really have spikes on the bottom. You know,
No,
even like,
no.
I mean, they have a little bit traction, but
They're comfortable.
I like it.
They're good.
You need to get the high tops next.
Yeah.
Make the conversion. You'll never roll an ankle out. Trust me. I've got a pair. I'm committing 2023 to no rolled ankles on the golf course. So I
my
got.
God. I can't believe that's a problem for you.
Well, he fell in a bunker yesterday.
Yesterday, I fell in a bunker yesterday, and then my caddy was laughing at me as I rolled around in the sand like a beach whale. So yeah, it is a problem. If I had the high tops on, I probably wouldn't have fell. Oh gosh! All right, last question, best question. This is my go-to drink, right?
Yep.
What's your go-to post-round drink?
Oh, easy. Coors Light.
Okay.
Okay, I can live with
respect
that.
And they have like you go into the locker room and there's always a huge Yeti of beers. They always have. So last week we were playing in Dallas for Byron Nelson, and we played our pro-am, and it's 85, 90 degrees. And the last like 6 holes, there was 0 water. And Kevin and I are like, we are so thirsty. And we went in the locker room, set the bag down, we opened this cooler, and it's all Coors Light. We were both just like, that thing
Like, take the whole core with you.
that thing was down in 5 seconds.
Oh. Yeah, Jay, we do some power rankings on here, and a couple weeks ago our power ranking was the top 6 beers in golf. I think the post caddy no water on the course beer might skyrocket up.
That might sneak us away into the top 3.
Yeah. I mean, it was we're calling like the tournament director, we're calling everyone, we're like, our AM is about to pass out. Like, we had to call a paramedic for him because he was about to pass out. He's like, I'm so dizzy, I'm seeing like multiples. We're like,
no wonder Jordan Spieth withdrew from
yeah,
Nelson.
exactly.
No water out there.
We're like, get us
that's great.
off here.
That's awesome. Well, we'll wrap it up. I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on. We'll have you on again. I'd love to have you on again for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think
Jay Green.
Jay's going to be the official caddy of the Back Nine Six Pack. He doesn't know it yet, but
yeah.
I'll take it.
We're gonna slap. We're gonna slap a sticker on you somewhere because I ambushed my brother's wedding. I had a Back Nine Six Pack sticker on my fold out where I read the ceremony from. Just ambush marketing. That's what we're a part of.
Nice.
Balling on a budget.
There we go.
I appreciate it, everybody. Jay Green, thank you so much again. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon. We'll have you on again.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. See ya.
All right, massive thanks there to Jay, the official caddy of the Back Nine Six Pack.
Very official.
Yeah, very, very official. A little tough there with the Wi-Fi here and there, so thank you for bearing with a couple breaks in the audio there, but otherwise just a fantastic interview. I teased the story about the Brooks Gary Woodland club signal at the Masters. Jay confirmed for us that did indeed happen, which was an awesome nugget.
Yeah, and then, oh man, I think I'm a big Kevin Roy fan now.
For sure.
For cheering for him. He's been playing pretty good. So kudos to Jay for being a good caddy.
Yeah, we're hoping to catch the boys down at the Barbasol in Kentucky.
Heck yeah.
We're going to find a way to get down there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But thanks to Jay Green again, fellow Tiffin Dragon, and also Tiffin Spring Break Masters champion like myself. I found so funny. Before we were going in the interview, I found a video of me putting the Masters jacket on him his senior year when I happened to be on spring trip about 5 or 6 years after I graduated. So thanks, Jay. Appreciate it. And yeah, official caddy of the Back Nine Six Pack.
Yeah, and anytime Tiffin is mentioned on this podcast, as always, shout out Nate Washington.
Nate Washington, our boy. Yep.
All right. From there, let's get into it. We're going to Patio Beers.
Anything goes on the patio.
Anything goes on the patio. No pre-screened questions here. I always forget. This is just a recurring thing. I always forget who went last time, so I'm going to take the ball.
Fuck it, I'll go. I'll go this
You'll
time.
go? All right, you go.
I don't set myself up for failure like you do, so I've got a question that I know the answer. I'm going to have it.
Oh, my God.
So if anybody's going to cancel us, it might be this week. No, I'm just kidding. So if you won the lottery, but you're only gonna buy, you made yourself a rule that you're only gonna buy one thing. Nothing in your life other than one thing is gonna change. What do you buy?
The one thing.
So no new. I mean, I guess if you said like, "Oh, I'll buy a new house," and that's it, but you get one thing, one luxury. That could be anything: golf membership at a certain course. A certain car you've always wanted, anything.
God, this
But
is...
one thing, you're like, I don't want to tip anybody off, so I'm only going to do one thing that in my life that's going to change after winning the lottery. And we're talking like mega millions. Like your life is completely different.
Yeah. I'm too frugal and practical to like. I don't have like a dream car. I couldn't even begin to tell you what kind of car.
Yeah, I'm not a car guy. I can tell you
is.
mine's not a car.
I'm not going to buy a boat or a yacht or anything. That's not me.
In the words of, who was it? They said, there's 3 things you should rent in life: a boat, a car, and a woman. That's how we get canceled.
You're getting, again, Justin's words, not mine. I really don't know how to answer this question. It would be some sort of like, I'm buying the house that I want where I want it. I don't know how to answer that in terms of where it would be. Honestly, multiple houses. I'm trying to, summer somewhere like.
But you get one thing.
I know.
So
it's a house.
Like you keep your house you live in now, and then you get like some like. So you're saying like I'd want like a summer home, like on the beach.
Hell yeah. No, somewhere. I'm going. Oh man, this is tough. Because if money's not an object, it's probably I got to find a place in Europe somewhere. Probably somewhere in Italy. That's the ideal answer.
That'd be pretty cool.
But we took a trip out to Denver/Boulder a couple years ago, and I always talk about
that'd be a cool place to have a second home.
Yeah, have a summer house in Boulder. Like I'm just out in the mountains, away from it all.
Sunniest place. People forget this. Denver, Boulder, sunniest place in the world, or at least in the country. They get more days of sunshine than everywhere else.
I'll just take your word for that because I did not know that. So yeah, I don't have a great answer here, but it's definitely a house somewhere that I want to live that's not Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I know the answer to this question. Like,
good.
and it's there's nothing that even comes across my mind that would be better than this. So if I'm keeping the same house, I'm driving the same car, I'm living the same life. Fuck your house. Okay?
Sure.
With all due respect.
With respect, yeah.
We're PJing. And we're going to PJ all over the place.
No, that's the right answer.
We are going to be... I mean, here's the thing. Like, if I have that amount of money, I don't need a house. I can go to 100 different places when I want,
Yeah.
any time of the day.
This is a massive oversight.
You want to go
by me.
play, Whistling Straits on a Wednesday? We don't drive. We PJ it up, and then we PJ it back. We get home for dinner.
Yeah, this is the answer. This is the only answer, truly.
Yeah. Any golf trip is possible now.
Any trip is possible.
And it doesn't even matter what day of the week it is. Like,
No.
you just PJ it around. That's a private jet is exactly. I mean, that is the most convenient thing that you could ever spend your money on if money was no object. No waiting in line, TSA lines, no losing your golf clubs in freaking Edinburgh Airport, like nothing like that. Like you're PJing it in, you're PJing it out. That is to me, this is the only answer. Because like I said, I'm not a car guy. I know a lot of people are probably like, no, this is the car I would buy. I've been thinking about this car since I was 7 years old. Never been that person.
Me either.
So a private jet I have thought about for a really, really, really long time. And that is the route I would go.
I mean, you're so right. I'm like mad at myself that I let you have that answer, truly.
And that is why I asked it. I was like, honestly, but there are some people that are like, I hate flying. Like my brother, literally 100% of his nightmares have him being on a plane in it. So he probably wouldn't take that just out of that, right? But me, I'm like, dude, like it's got to be that.
Yeah, you have to buy convenience, right? You're not buying objects. You're buying, quality
you have
of
the
life.
money. Like I don't need a house somewhere, like permanent house somewhere. Like
yeah,
I can stay anywhere I want to stay, any hotel I want to stay in. I just got to get there, and that's how you get there. So
period, point blank. You're right. I'm wrong.
Yep. So,
well done.
But I do like that. The second home is kind of a given if you have that kind of money.
No,
so I didn't. Your answer wasn't bad. It just wasn't the most right answer.
Given more time, I think I would have got there.
It's like a standardized test. There was just a more right answer than yours.
Okay.
Yours was a right answer, but just not the rightest answer.
Okay. That's fair. All right. Maybe we'll get canceled with my question. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Bring it on. I like it. I like dancing on the line.
All right. So Susie inspired me to ask a question, but then I thought about it a little more, and so I have a little bit of a twist on her question.
Phew. Okay.
That gets us into some dicey territory, potentially. Would you rather have your internet browser history or your text messages leaked?
Man. Oh, boy. You know what? Honestly, probably my browser.
Same.
Again, I know it's a big joke with all guys and stuff. It's like, oh, your browser's probably littered with stuff that you don't want people to see. And I'm like, I mean, if you want to see like 95 pages of me clicking around trying to find a golf trip, I mean, if that sounds cool to you or risque to you, then have at it. But
yeah, mine is
my
like
text messages.
Yeah.
And again, it's not that it's like, it's not that it's anything that's like that. If it came out, I'd be like, "Oh God, like this guy's so done." But I do talk mad shit about people. But I would say this shit to their face. But I just would rather them not know that I've been texting about it the day that I talk shit to them. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I did see your text messages, and you were talking shit 30 minutes before I saw you, and then you came here and started talking shit again. So. Yeah. I don't know. And then it's like, there's, obviously with my job, like there's some stuff on there that I like, if that got out, I could get in a lot of trouble. That too. Maybe that's why I'm more leaning towards the text messages. But yeah, I think text messages, just because there's some personal stuff in there too that for other people, I would hate for that to get out. Not so much for me, right?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think it's the difference between like, okay, that's like private correspondence versus my internet search history is like already out there.
I mean, it's essentially public with how you get data mined and stuff anyway. I mean,
right. It's like something I'm willing to put, like I'm searching for something. I'm not searching for anything nefarious. Like I'm looking up.
And it's not like you're typing your diary. It's not like you're typing your diary in your freaking Google search bar.
Right.
But yeah, I think that would be, it would definitely be, I wouldn't want text messages to get out. Just, again, more for the people that I talk to, like if they say something like, and I'm sure I've said something in text that's like, all right, man, come on. Like, what are we doing here? Like, but I think it would be more for other people that I know too. It'd be like, all right, now it's like now it's not just me going down. It's like everybody's going down. So it's like, Like, I don't need that in my life. I don't need like 100 people hating me. So, it would definitely be text messages.
Yeah.
But I know some people that would probably be like web browser, 100%.
Oh, I'm sure there's people out there, yeah.
Like, you can have my text messages all day.
Yeah, they're like, burn the computer, burn it down.
They're out back, like, smashing their computer with a hammer. Yeah, I'm sure there's people like that, but not me. No, I just wouldn't want my text messages. Too personal, way too personal.
Yeah, totally agree. I had a lot of agreement in the patio beer tonight.
Yeah. That's usually, not usually how it works out. But.
No.
So you are agreeing that there are 3 things you should rent in life. I just want this
except
on the
for
record.
that. No, except for that. Good point. I disagree vehemently on the record.
Oh, on the record.
All right. I think that wraps it up. Huge episode. Major championship week again. Thank you to Jay for the interview. It was a blast.
Awesome interview. Yeah.
We have Memorial Day weekend coming up. League coming up, which we're not going to get into it. Just massive disappointment this season for me. I don't even want to talk about it right now.
No, but we got
it's only going to make me mad.
Yeah, but we have a good weekend of golf coming up.
Yeah.
Just nice around here. Just going to be absolutely perfect weather.
Yep.
And Memorial Day weekend is the kickoff to the summer. And outside of like first night of league night, like Memorial Day weekend is the start of summer, and it's one of my favorite weekends of the year.
Yeah. So all right, hopefully you catch this episode. If you're not following us, hit us up on Instagram and Twitter at Back96Pack. Almost forgot.
We have a second batch of hats. We have sold out of the first one. The second batch is going to be here this week.
That's not what I was thinking of, but also true. We're giving away Memorial tickets.
Oh, yeah.
Sunday at
Wednesday.
the Memorial. You got 2 days to get in. Wednesday night we'll be drawing, so 2 Memorial tickets. All you got to do, rate and review us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Take a screenshot. DM us on Instagram.
Yeah, and the field
in
is
the
just, I mean, like we talked about, it's an elevated event. This field is just absolutely freaking loaded. That course brings out typically the best golfers in the field, so those guys are going to be there on Sunday.
Who knows? Maybe Michael Block will be there.
That's what I said in the video last. I was like, you never know, but it is an elevated event. I'm going to guess, unless he wins this week, probably not going to be there, but what do I know?
Right. All right. That'll do it for us. Cheers.
See ya. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Back 9 Six-Pack. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Back 9 Six-Pack for all your content needs. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.